What's up, everybody? Wanted to share with you the build that I've been playing for the last few days. It's actually my new favorite build in the Dark Zone, and it's the defense build, D3-FNC. Quick rundown of the build, like its bonuses. 2-piece gives you protection from elites. 3-piece bonus gives you 10% ballistic shield damage resilience. 4-piece allows using an SMG while the shield is deployed. The only drawback is the master rank shield mod is the only thing active. So, like, the normal mods that you get aren't active. Not the mods that you equip into the shield, but like the different variations of the shield. Ballistic shield health is also increased by 57% for every 3,000 stamina. The 5-piece bonus is 15% protection from elites and 5% more ballistic shield damage resilience. And then the 6-piece, while the shield's deployed, melee damage is increased by 2,000%, which is pretty strong. Like, I melee players for around 60,000 damage, and I get a lot of kills with my melee. If they're about to die and they're really close, just melee them. But you do have to be careful. If you try to melee someone who's not rogue, and you're trying to melee a rogue, like, say you're meleeing a rogue and some non-rogue walks by, it's going to open up your menu. Hopefully they change that, give it its own keybind. All overhealing the player receives is applied to the ballistic shield as healing. And that doesn't mean that it needs to be a skill that overheals. It just means that if you're already fully healed, the remainder heals go to your shield. Really, really nice. After reaching a damage threshold from receiving physical or exotic damage, the ballistic shield grants a buff to the player and all group members within 15 meters for 6 seconds. The duration of the buff is increased by 2 seconds for every 3,000 stamina the player has. So I run this with 9,000 stamina. And it is really, really strong. It's amazing. When you take physical damage, which is bullets and stuff, your armor is increased by 30%. Makes you a lot stronger. And if you take exotic damage, which is like grenades, your weapon damage is increased by 30%, as well as all of your teammates. So with this build, when I see a grenade on the ground, I look right at it. I want that damage. It usually takes about 2 grenades. Also, if people are right next to me, I'll throw grenades right at my feet, try to hit them as well as myself. And sometimes, before we do a push, I'll throw 2 grenades at my feet just to pop that damage buff. And it's quite nice. Also, when at 9,000 stamina, the shield's health is increased by 200%. Really important. I know some people do healer builds with this, but I'm all about that stam life with this build. I will go over the mods that I use. As far as performance mods, you got to make sure you have ballistic shield damage resilience. It's extremely important. You got to have 4 of those. And without those, the build is not going to be nearly as effective. The nice thing about the ballistic shield damage resilience from the mods, as well as all the bonuses on the set itself, is that you actually gain that damage resilience. As long as your shield is out, your body is also protected. So you become very, very tough. Pred hardly affects me. Bullets hardly affect me. It's crazy how tanky you truly are. And you actually can do a lot of damage with this build as well. It's underestimated. I honestly think it's really, really, really powerful. And definitely the most powerful for toughness to damage ratio. I don't know the math on finding out your actual toughness, because when you open up your inventory, your shield goes away. But it is out of control levels, millions. I'm guessing over 2 million toughness. Like, when if you have your little your armor buff up, I'm assuming it's over 2 million toughness. Out of control. As far as building it, you're gonna want 4 pieces of stam and 1 piece of firearms. You can also do all stam and then do firearms mods. But the way I did it was, I still haven't optimized this, but 4 pieces of stam rolls and firearms. Now, for allocation, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Some people go with EDR, some people go with crit chance, and some people go with skill haste. I've tried a few different variations. One was pure skill haste. I don't play this solo usually. I play it in a group, and I use EMP as my skill, my shield and my EMP, and the EMP is really nice for dealing with strikers. It disables the stacks. It doesn't get rid of them, but it makes it so they're not doing extra damage or healing. Really, really nice to have, as well as healers. If there's healers, you can shoot the box and kill the healer a lot easier. So my chest piece, I do skill haste and health. You're going to want ammo on your chest. You run out of ammo really fast with this build. Unfortunately, I don't have ammo, but that's what I would have. Skill haste, health, and then ammo. As well as, I'll go over, I guess I can show you my mods. Stamina and skill power is what I run. Oh, very, very important with this build. Skill power, you need to get, I've been told 125,000. It's not 125,000. I think the real number is like 121,600 or some shit like that. So to be safe, shoot for 122,000. Make sure your shield is maxed out. You can tell if it's maxed out by clicking on it, and it will have 2,350,000 health. So keep that in mind. If you drop below that, you need to add a little bit more skill power, and maybe someone can chime in on the exact number of skill power you have. I know there's a lot of fake news going around saying 125,000, but more skill power is not going to help your shield there once you hit that cap. So mask, I'm running crit chance. I used to have skill haste here, I think, or no, I know what I did. You can't have skill haste. I'm tripping. I used to have skill power here. I used to have skill power on the mask, knee pads, and backpack. But what I did is you can only roll like 10,000 skill power on your mask, but you can roll 4 crit. You can get 10,000 skill power from 3 skill power mods, but you can only get 3 crit from 3 skill power mods. So I decided to roll 3 of my skill power mods and switch this to crit. They were originally skill haste, but I dropped 9% skill haste for the skill power and then added the crit. My crit was a little bit too low on my original iteration of this build, so I actually enjoyed the 4 crit on the mask. And then you can have whatever resistance. Burn is nice because you do burn, and burn is not good, so burn resistance is nice, but doesn't really matter. Knee pads. You need skill power here. I also put burn resistance. I got disrupt and disorient on here. Shock is not very important on this build, because when you're shocked as a shield, you can still turn and block stuff. You can't run, but you can still block bullets and turn. So shock is much less important than on most builds. Again, I did stamina skill power here with ballistic shield damage resilience. Backpack, you want skill power, and I recommend ammo. I want ammo in my backpack and my chest. Like I said, I don't have it on my chest. My backpack is my firearms piece, and I want a firearms piece so I can unlock the talents on my guns. Here, I believe I have skill haste. Yeah, stam skill haste. Actually, that's a bad stam mod. I could gain like a few stam there, 15 stam. I think I have a better one, but it doesn't really matter because I'm already there. Haven't fully fine-tuned this build, but ballistic shield damage resilience in both of those. Gloves. Now, gloves, I went through a couple of different changes. Originally, I had skill haste on my gloves, but I actually dropped the skill haste for the crit chance, crit damage, submachine gun damage. It's up to you how you like your gloves, but I found that having the skill haste less wasn't as big of an issue, and I was still getting my EMP up frequent enough that I wasn't feeling like it was too much of a disadvantage to lose that skill haste and gain the crit chance or the crit damage. And that's how I rolled my gloves. Crit chance, crit damage, submachine gun damage, and they are stam. These are a real nice pair of gloves. Max. And holster, pretty basic. You can either go skill haste, reload speed, or crit chance here. Again, I went with crit chance on my most recent iteration of this build, and I enjoy it. A lot of people like reload speed because you do reload your gun a lot in this build. And it's really up to you how you want to build it. There's not one build that's the go-to. I feel. I feel there's different variations depending on if you want to play it solo, if you're in a group, how your group plays, and your style of play, what you're really going for. So that's what I did with that. Again, ballistic shield damage resilience on the mod. And that pretty much covers it for the armor. As far as a gun, I use a house and actually a PP-19. I started using the PP-19 yesterday, and I'm going to go over the PP-19. And I actually prefer it over my house. But if I had a house with a different talent, I think I'd like my house. I have a deadly unforgiving house, which most people would think is perfect. But I would prefer hurried unforgiving over deadly for the 1-second reloads, because you spend a lot of time reloading the house. It empties its mag fast, and you reload this thing all the time. So hurried unforgiving is what I'm after. Unforgiving is by far the best talent for defense, in my opinion, because what you can do is purposely take damage, or not necessarily purposely, but you can keep your health low, and your shield will still be strong and high. And like a lot of times I'll run through NPCs without my shield, take a bunch of damage, and then pull my shield out and just keep myself at 1 bar or 2 bars. And if you're at 1 bar of health, you're now doing 25% more damage. And even if you're fighting enemies, 1 bar of health with this build does not feel squishy. You still have time to react. You don't just instantly drop because you have so much toughness and damage reduction. So keep that in mind. Unforgiving with this build is very, very strong. And I'm almost always at 1 or 2 bars of health. I try to. Now, I rolled a PP-19, and I actually prefer it over my house right now. It's a deadly unforgiving responsive. I got rid of the hurried. And this thing is really strong. It does show lower sheet DPS by 30,000, but I feel more effective with it. It hits hard, almost as hard as the house, but it has a much lower rate of fire. But it has 115 rounds in the mag, and it's just insane. Let me just show you, for instance. I actually put 1 is none on, and with 1 is none on this gun, you can just sit here and fire. It's like you're shooting an LMG. It's absolutely insane. I know you're not always hitting headshots, but I swapped to 1 is none with this build, and I don't regret it. I really, really enjoy 1 is none. It adds so many extra bullets, and it helps you conserve ammo because it's not actually taking from your ammo when you do that. It's one of the talents that you don't necessarily have to use, but it's great. And as you can see, you can fire with your shield, and it's just amazing. So, PP-19 is underrated. I think it's a really good gun. I can get a lot of sustained damage on targets as they're trying to run away, trying to wiggle around and heal and shit. And this gun just seems more effective than my house right now. Mainly because my house is spent so often reloading. Now, as far as my pistol, I have an old Gear Score 164 pistol with cool-headed and determined. I highly recommend you get a pistol that's a low enough gear score if you can craft them, if you have an old one, if you crafted Damascus or whatever. There's multiple ways you can do it, but cool-headed's really nice. Every, I think 3 seconds, there's a cooldown. You can shoot a bullet every 3 seconds and get 5% cooldown reduction. It's great. Really, really great. And then determined for even more cooldown reduction. And that's for getting your signature skill back. Now, for talents and abilities, I usually run this build as the healer. Not the healer, but as the green signature skill. Because I'm usually the last one to die if everyone else is not running a shield. I also run EMP. It's really nice for disabling strikers and disabling healing boxes. And you run the shield, obviously. You want to run this first shield mod, reactive targeting, because you get this little extra thing next to your hand. As you can see next to my gun here. Switch guns. You can see this little flap there next to the gun is not there on the other shields, and it can actually help you not take as much damage if they're shooting near your hands. As far as talents, there's multiple different ways you can do this. A lot of people run on the move. A lot of people run precision. Both of those are optional. I choose to run Battle Buddy because I'm running the green healing sig, and Battle Buddy does proc off of it. So if anyone goes down, I like to pop the green and give myself and them the 30% damage reduction. Very useful. If I wasn't running green sig, obviously would not run Battle Buddy. Critical save, very important. Combat medic, very important. And then one is none is kind of the optional skill here. You can use one is none, you could use precision, you could use on the move. It's really up to you. Strike back's not very useful in this because you rarely are going to be getting it procced, and if you do, you're going to probably stay at low health for a while. So most of my builds use that. This one doesn't. It's really up to you how you feel like playing the build, but this is my current setup. And I think that covers everything. The build is really fun to play. One of the weird quirks about it is you can't switch guns without sprinting and putting your shield away. You gotta sprint, then pull your gun out. You can do it pretty fast, though. Once you get used to it, it doesn't take long to switch guns. You don't even have to wait for the animations. You have to sprint first before you change your gun. Even your pistol, which sucks. But once you get the hang of it, it's quite nice. And don't forget to melee players. I get a lot of kills, especially when they're low health and they're trying to run around and dodge bullets. Just go up and start whacking them. It does like 60,000 damage to them. And we actually tested out 4 shields and meleeing some players, and we were killing people in 2 hits each. Like all of us hitting them 2 times and they were dead. It was great. It was real great. You can also not worry with your EMP. You can just EMP yourself, because the only downside of that is you might not be able to use your healing sig, but if they're near you, don't be like too picky about where you place your EMP and try to place it so far away like I was in the beginning. Then I realized, you know what, I'm just going to EMP right at them. It doesn't matter if I get hit. Your friends don't get hit, so that's what really matters. EMP that shit. Grenades, like I said, throw grenades. Throw grenades at your feet if need be. Throw grenades if you're close to the enemies. Don't worry about getting hit by them, as long as you're not going to die from your own grenade. It's nice to absorb those grenades and give yourself all that extra damage. And I think I've covered everything. I'm still going to be looking for that hurried, unforgiving house. And, yeah, I can't really think of anything else that's super important here, other than watch your little shield bar. It's that little bar on top of your health, and make sure it doesn't go to the bottom, because if it does, you're useless. If you're wondering how to counter a shield, the best bet is if there's a shield in a group. This is my theory on it. If there's a shield in a group and you're struggling killing everybody, but they're not killing you, everyone focus the shield. I know that's a disagreement with a lot of people, but if the other team is not killing your team fast, just everyone at the same time focus the shield, kill the shield, get it out of the way, and then work on the other guys. It's really hard sometimes to kill people with a shield in the group, because you're indirectly shooting the shield, giving them the stam buff, making everybody stronger. But if they're not really good players and they're not killing you quickly, I find it best to focus the shield. Now, if they are good players, it might be really hard to do that, because if you try to focus the shield, you might die by the other players. So you kind of got to feel the other group out. If it's a 1v1 and you come against a shield and you're a striker, just dump into the shield. So many strikers think that it's a bad idea, but just dump into the shield. It's not hard to kill a shield. You can kill a shield in 1 magazine of your showstopper. It's not that bad. Just fucking unload that shield, and make them burn their medkits. They can only medkit every so often, so just unload. But yeah, my favorite thing right now is to use my PP and just spray it all over them, right in their faces. So if you have an old PP19, it's also got like no recoil. I feel like I'm shooting strikers. You watch the house, and this thing's got a lot of recoil. Like it starts really pulling. It's a struggle near the end of the house. But both guns are really good. I just want that hurried, unforgiving house. So thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe and like it or whatever. Make some comments. Post what you do with your defense. How much you love the build. How much you hate the build. Whatever. And thank you guys for watching.